The Ask It reading strategy is a type of self-questioning strategy that occurs before, during, and after reading of a text. Ask It addresses issues students may have with comprehension by encouraging them to think meaningfully about what they are reading. Self-questioning strategies usually require students to investigate, think critically, and make predictions about a text. Self-questioning can be used to help students with literal, surface-level understandings, main ideas of a text, inferences and predictions, and the author's message or theme. The Ask It strategy addresses background knowledge, text structure, cognitive learning strategies, understanding of multisyllabic words, writing, and motivation. It requires students to use what they know, ask questions, and look for answers as they read a variety of different words, and take notes about different elements they notice before and during reading.
Context, model, and Mr. Brown. In this presentation, we will provide details on a specific lesson example as we walk through the steps of the strategy. Imaginary teacher, Mr. Brown, will demonstrate the before, during, and after reading steps of Ask It, a self-questioning strategy. Breaking down Ask It. The Ask It strategy is made up of 5 steps for students to follow to promote comprehension. A. Attend to clues. S. State some questions. K. Keep predictions in mind. I. Identify the answer. And T. Talk about the answer.
Mr. Brown will lead students through a book walk using William Goldman's novel, The Princess Bride. He will ask students to notice how it's organized. They should look at the different ways the book is organized, pictures, characters, and the cover of the book. Students will work in pairs or in threes to list things they notice, and then will share out to the whole class. During paired or small group work, depending on student choice, group members will ask themselves questions about the elements they noticed during the book walk and will write them down in their notebooks. These questions will be shared with the whole group after small group time.
There's a lot of different books you can read in your classroom. One example is The Princess Bride. You can do a book walk for your students and have them attend to clues such as words on the cover, such as the title, author, and also different things about the images they see on the cover. When you flip through the story, you can notice if there's any maps, any titles, any other images that show up through the text. During reading, keep predictions in mind. During reading, students should keep their predictions in mind and continue to make them as they read. Mr. Brown's class is assigned to read a chapter from The Princess Bride. We do. In this part of the lesson, the students practice with support from the teacher. Students will also utilize the self-questioning worksheet to practice using Ask It during the book walk. You do. In this phase, the student will work independently using the Ask It strategy without guidance from the teacher. Students can work in pairs or in small groups. Support from the teacher will be provided as needed. In this phase, the teacher may also observe and listen to students' interactions and use of Ask It. During reading, identify answers. In this phase, students will answer predictions and questions during the reading. Students will be encouraged to annotate the text as they look and find information in the story. Students may highlight information to annotate. The annotations may address any pre-reading questions. This method allows teachers to have a visual of students' thinking and comprehension process. What kind of things are you noticing as you're flipping through your text? Any questions that are coming up?
Well, I noticed that there's kind of fancy lettering with the title. I see that there's 2 people on the title. She's wearing a long dress. He has a sword, so I'm kind of wondering about that. Like, is it going to be like a romance novel? Is it going to be more adventurous? There is a map in the very beginning, so I'm assuming that there is going to be some sort of adventure. And then I'm also noticing that there are chapters, but there's also sections that the chapters like belong to. So I guess one question is why are the sections titled what they are, and what's going to happen in each section? What's the importance or significance of the chapters being divided like they are?
Definitely. Why don't you write down some of those questions and then we'll move on with the book.
Okay. After reading is complete each day, Mr. Brown will give students the opportunity to share their notes in a Think, Pair, Share activity. Then, as a summative assessment at the end of the text, he will ask them to complete a project. This project can be something like a mock interview with one of the main characters, addressing higher order questions they had, and explaining events that happened based on their predictions.
Have y'all finished with the text over here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now you're going to take some time to pair up and think about the questions you asked and see if you found any answers to that. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Sounds awesome. Okay. So I guess one of the predictions that I had, or one of the questions that I had was looking through the book when we did the book walk at the very beginning. There was the map that was in the front of the book. So reading through the book, I was wondering, like, is this going to be more of a love story? Is it going to be like more of an adventure? And I guess after reading the book, it was kind of both. There were elements of like a romance novel in it because of like the love story between Buttercup and Wesley, but then there was also the whole adventures part with the Dread Pirate Roberts and Fezzik and Vicini and all those other people because Buttercup got kidnapped and all that. So a lot of my questions were answered, and surprisingly most of my predictions were true, which is good. What about your predictions?
So Buttercup isn't actually saved by Humperdinck. That's the prediction I had made. I thought Humperdinck had saved Buttercup. But what I actually found was that the Dread Pirate Roberts is the one that actually saves Buttercup. So now I'm wondering, my question is, like, who is Dread Pirate Roberts? Maybe it's Wesley. So now my prediction based on that question is Dread Pirate Roberts Wesley? And will they actually live happily ever after? So, students can apply the steps of Ask It to other content areas. Science not only involves reading academic texts, but it involves making predictions and answering questions during experiments. Ask It can also be used in math when students look for clues and word problems. Students can apply Ask It to other areas outside the academic realm, including film, television, theatrical performance, and real-life scenarios. During a time when digital media monopolizes both academic and non-academic areas of life, plenty of opportunities arise in which people are able to use predictive and reflective skills.